All right, cool. Let's get into the reactions. It's Monday. The reason why people love Mondays, if you're new here, is that it is a 4-video reaction session, should we say, Mondays and Tuesdays.
Yeah.
So, video number 1, apparently, was it Kawhi? We reacted to him, also known as
The Claw.
The Claw. I like to call him the Crane. It sounds more like raw, but the Claw is.
You know what? It reminds me of. Did you watch Toy Story?
Yeah.
The little dolls, the alien dolls.
Yeah.
And then they're obsessed with the claw. The claw. They look like some god or something.
That's it. It was Kawhi this whole time.
Yeah.
So, apparently his story is one of the best NBA stories. Comment if that's true or not, guys. But yeah, we're gonna react to it. Before we do, guys,
smash that subscribe and a follow button. All right. If you want to support this channel.
Look at what
if you want us to continue
you got
recording on Twitch.
Definitely.
Oh, you have to wait.
Like YouTube.
Exactly.
All right, let's do it.
So shy and quiet. He was once full of love and laughter until one night, murder changed him. Here's the story of Kawhi Leonard and how he transformed from a role player into an NBA superstar. Kawhi Leonard grew up as the youngest of 5 children, and at just 5 years old, his parents divorced. But even though Kawhi's mother took custody, it was his dad who was instrumental in Kawhi's sports career. Mark Leonard was a former football player, and he pushed Kawhi towards the gridiron. With a big athletic frame, long arms, and enormous hands, Kawhi was a talented defensive back and a wide receiver. But Kawhi gave up football as a high school sophomore to focus entirely on basketball. At first, his father was mad because basketball wasn't a safe bet. Kawhi was no prodigy like LeBron James, but Kawhi loved basketball more than anything, and that's when his work ethic came on full display. He'd stay late after every practice, sometimes shooting and dribbling up to 4 hours after everybody's left the gym. Then, during Kawhi's junior season, one night would change his life forever. Just as Kawhi was prepping to play a high school tournament, his father was finishing up his day at their family-owned car wash, where Kawhi worked every summer. And Leonard Sr. was more than excited to close the shop and go see his son play. It was a good day until a stranger walked into the car wash, approached Kawhi's dad, and pointed a gun at him.
No way.
Just as Kawhi was approaching his school gym, he got a phone call. His father was dead. Just 24 hours later.
Imagine, you're just literally you're just living your normal life, your normal routine, and just like that, life has changed forever in a miserable way. Sad.
It's so sad. Maybe that's what pushed Kawhi to succeed in his career.
Maybe because he obviously done very well regardless of this tragic event. A lot of people would throw them off track big time.
Like MJ took some time off when his dad passed away.
Yeah, ages off. Yeah. Years.
High school had another game, and against all odds, Kawhi showed up and played. Emotionally distraught, Kawhi still finished with 17 points, but as soon as the game ended, he broke down, crying in his mother's arms. While some people would use such tragedy as an excuse to stop playing, Kawhi used it as fuel. His demeanor changed, and he mostly kept quiet after his father's death. He let his game do all the talking. In his senior year, he led his team to a 30-3 record with 23 points, 13 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 blocks on average, after which he was named California's Mr. Basketball. However, despite the obvious improvement in his game, Leonard wasn't yet a nationally recognized name and was ranked as only the 48th best high school player in the country. Colleges who tried to reach him weren't too crazy about him either, as he was notoriously silent and wouldn't answer his phone for weeks. Nonetheless, he received an offer from UCLA, but Kawhi ultimately chose San Diego State because they guaranteed him a starting spot. As a freshman, Kawhi averaged 13 points and 10 rebounds, pushing the...
You know what? That's very important, having a starting spot, because at the end of the day, you can join the best team, but if you're bench warming 90% of the season, what are you getting out of that? Like,
it's true.
You having that on your resume, it's not doing much for you.
Yeah.
But getting the experience sometimes you've got to join the mid teams to be a starter.
Yeah.
And, show up and you'll learn from it.
And you being on the bench, you're quite limited to how often you go and play and you showcasing your talent that you have.
And that's just going to stunt his development.
Yeah.
He probably wouldn't be the Kawhi he is today if he was bench warming.
Aztecs to a conference title and the bid
Smash!
to the NCAA
Appreciate the
tournament.
follow,
Leonard
man.
wanted to put his name in the NBA draft immediately after his freshman year, but his coaches advised him not to do it. Even though he was an excellent rebounder and defender, Kawhi couldn't shoot. He shot just 20% for three, even though opponents often left him wide open, knowing that he can't hit an ocean from a boat. So Kawhi listened and decided to stay. In his sophomore season, he averaged 16 points and 10.5 boards with not great, but not terrible 30% accuracy from three. San Diego State repeated as conference champions and would make it to the Sweet 16 before losing to future champs Kemba Walker in Connecticut. Kawhi was named a second-team All-American and put his name on the 2011 NBA draft. During the NBA draft combine, every scout raved about his physical attributes. 6'7", 225 pounds with a pterodactyl 7'3" inch.
You know, that wingspan thing is so important in basketball, man. Obviously, height is a big thing as well, but if you got a height and wingspan, like...
That's why he's
the crane.
It just helps with the claw, because he's got a long reach,
Big hands.
big ass hands. Just
Claw and everything.
He was built like proper.
He's built for it.
Yeah.
Wingspan and enormous 11-inch hands, some of the biggest claws in the history of the combine. Everybody was drooling at his defensive potential, but nobody thought he'd ever become a polished defensive player. Kawhi was a classic tweener, not big enough to do damage in the post and not technically good enough to create from the outside with an unreliable shot. Kawhi dropped all the way to number 15 when he was finally selected by the Indiana Pacers. However, just moments after he was drafted, there was another shock for Kawhi. He was immediately traded to San Antonio for George Hill, a third-year point guard and Greg Popovich's favorite player. Popovich later said that this trade was the hardest decision he ever made because he knew he needed to get a great defender in the draft, but he wasn't sure that Kawhi's offense was going to pan out. They decided to roll the dice, and Leonard joined the Spurs, where he would immediately fit in due to his work ethic and no-nonsense approach to basketball. As a rookie, Kawhi quickly started playing crunch time minutes, which is not something that Popovich usually does with the rookies. But Leonard's smothering defense soon guaranteed him a starting spot, and he even surprised with his shooting. Sure, he wasn't doing much with the ball in his hands, but he was very effective as a spot-up shooter, shooting 38% from three. Still, Kawhi only took 6 shots per game, averaging 8 points, 5 rebounds, and 1 assist, and finishing 4th in Rookie of the Year voting. Greg Popovich said this about Kawhi after his rookie season: "I think he is going to be a star. At both ends of the court, he is a really special player, and what makes me so confident about him is that he wants to be a great player so badly." And it didn't take long for the world to see what Coach Pop was talking about. Kawhi improved his averages across the board in his second season, taking smart, efficient shots and shooting 38% from deep on 3 attempts per game. But what was most impressive is how he increased his level of play in the playoffs, which is extremely rare for such a young player. Leonard was
He's is it Tim Duncan, guys? Was it Tim Duncan?
Yeah, we reacted to him, didn't we?
We reacted to the Spurs when they had,
and he was part of it.
He was like their top player.
Yeah.
See, we're learning, chat. We're learning. Man called out Tim Duncan, and we've only seen him like once.
Yeah, it's
So
true.
we're getting there.
the Spurs' best defender and their third best overall player, behind Tony Parker and Tim Duncan. San Antonio lost just 2 games on their way to the finals, where they were awaited by the best player in the world, LeBron James and his Miami Heat. Kawhi guarded LeBron better than anyone in the NBA at the time and was the only person that could slow him down. When the Spurs won, it was because LeBron was shooting below 50%, largely thanks to Kawhi's long, disruptive hands. However, the Heat made adjustments and James started hitting shots from the outside. In the pivotal Game 6, when the Spurs were up 3-2, James orchestrated a miraculous comeback in the fourth quarter. Still, the Spurs had a 5-point lead in the final minute, and it seemed a lock that they would win the title, until one of the biggest shots in NBA history took place and changed the narrative. In the overtime, the Heat prevailed and took the series to Game 7, which was again decided in the final minutes. Even though Kawhi took away his driving lanes, LeBron knew that he needs to make one jump shot for the win, and he did. James finished with 37 points, proving his status as the best in the world, and Miami stole the championship away from the Spurs. Kawhi averaged 15 points, 11 rebounds, and 2 steals in the finals, and he put the world on notice. He arrived on the big scene, but Kawhi being Kawhi, he didn't rest on his laurels. Leonard worked extremely hard in the offseason, further improving his shot and putting on muscle. For the 2014 season, his efficiency increased, but his numbers stayed virtually the same. However, that's mainly because the Spurs played an extremely team-oriented brand of basketball, where their best scorer averaged just 16 points, and nobody on the team played more than 30 minutes per game. San Antonio finished with the best record in the NBA, and Kawhi earned the nod to the second all-defensive team. The Spurs proved to be the best in the West, securing another finals with Miami.
Spurs is basketball. As we experienced, they played beautiful basketball. Like, it wasn't just player heavy. It wasn't like a superstar carrying the
teamwork.
team. It was just pass. It was just chemistry.
Yeah.
And Kawhi to fit into that he's very talented. He probably learned a lot as well, man.
The first 2 games, the series was tied at 1 apiece, and it seemed like we were getting another nail-biter, but Kawhi had other plans. He dominated in Game 3 with a game-high 29 points and stellar defense on King James. Even though LeBron made a ton of tough shots and actually had an extremely effective series, Kawhi bothered him every possession and didn't let him breathe. LeBron had no room to dribble. Leonard made it tough for him to even catch the ball and limited his touches. James had to work like hell for every basket he made, and LeBron knew that his best chance was when Leonard was out of the game, and that's where James was most aggressive. When Kawhi subbed in, we could see visible frustration from the King because
He's like,
Not this kid again.
this guy's got these massive hands. Like, it's so hard to play against.
he knew that his points were going to be much harder to get. Game 3 turned out to be a blowout, and so were Game 4 and Game 5. Miami had no answer to the Spurs' phenomenal ball movement, and many people believe that the 2014 Spurs played the most beautiful basketball ever. Even though Tony Parker scored 1 more point than Kawhi in the series, Leonard was named the Finals MVP due to his impeccable defense and astronomical shooting percentages. Kawhi averaged 18 points on 61% from the field and 58% from 3, and was the second youngest Finals MVP in NBA history behind Magic Johnson. During the finals, due to his gigantic hands and the way they wreaked havoc on Miami's players, Kawhi got nicknamed the Claw. After the title, the Spurs quietly but noticeably gave the keys to the team to Kawhi. In 2015, Leonard led the Spurs in minutes, field goal attempts, and points per game. However, his offense wasn't something people were talking about because Kawhi was still making headlines with his defense. Leonard led the league in steals with 2.3 per game, and some of those looked like he was taking candy from a baby. San Antonio had the second best defense in the NBA, and Kawhi deservingly won the Defensive Player of the Year award. However, the Spurs lost in the first round of the playoffs to the Clippers, primarily due to poor performances from Parker and Ginobili. Kawhi did his part, averaging 20 points with excellent shooting numbers, again improving all of his stats in the playoffs.
See, that's the thing as well. Just because your team lost, as long as you've done your part, that's all you can do. Yeah, it's very hard to carry 5 players like as a one player.
Yeah, we've seen many players like LeBron. There was somebody else recently.
What?
They had, I think, 80 points or something.
80?
Okay, maybe not. Maybe that's an exaggeration. Maybe they did like 60 points.
Yeah, probably
or
a 60 gamer. But and
then they still lost.
And
the
they
team
still lost. It's
yeah.
like, what can I was gonna say? Like, what more can you do? Don't get me wrong. You get the players that can do it, but they're the legends, like LeBron and these kind of guys. It's very rare. You can only carry so much, and as long as you've done your part, there's only so much you can do, in my opinion.
Then came 2016 and brought the complete transformation of Kawhi Leonard from just a defensive stopper into a full-blown superstar. He wasn't just a cutter and a spot-up shooter anymore. Kawhi's toolbox now included post-ups, turnaround jumpers, fadeaways, and attacking the mismatch in the paint. He busted the myth that he could not create his own shot, and Popovich finally started using him in pick and rolls due to his improved handle. Leonard averaged over 20 points per game for the first time, made his first All-Star team, and repeated as Defensive Player of the Year. He was also runner-up for the MVP award behind Steph Curry. However, the playoffs offered another disappointment, and the second-round exit against OKC will mostly be remembered by Tim Duncan's final NBA games. In 2017, Leonard improved again, just like he did in every season up to that point. Without Tim Duncan, and with the aging Parker and Ginobili, Kawhi was now the clear leader of the team. He averaged a career-high 25.5 points and 3.5 assists, with 2 made threes per game. And despite his increased role on offense, his defense didn't suffer, and he made his 3rd consecutive first-team All-Defense. Leonard led the Spurs to the conference finals against the Warriors, who were the heavy favorites. But when Game 1 started, it wasn't Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, or Klay Thompson who was pulling all the strings and dominating. It was Kawhi. San Antonio had a 20-point lead at halftime, and the Claw was unstoppable, scoring 26 points in 24 minutes on the court. And then
that against Golden State is an achievement in itself. Crazy 20-point lead.
Chat, who's Zaza? I can see you guys like cussing him out in the chat. Is he like a...
Let us know, chat.
Yeah, let us know.
The Spurs got a taste
someone injured him,
to their
basically.
own medicine, and bad karma changed their
Probably
franchise forever. In the early 2000s, their small forward, Bruce Bowen, was putting his feet in players' landing area, causing multiple players to injure their ankles. 1 decade later, their star small forward got injured the same way when Zaza Pachulia planted his feet underneath Kawhi when he raised up for a jump shot. Leonard was unable to continue, and without him, the Spurs lost the 21-point lead. He didn't play for the rest of the series, and each of the next 3 games was a blowout. That's how helpless San Antonio was without him. Kawhi was only 26 years old, just entering the prime of his career, and San Antonio counted on him to be their leader for the next 10 years. But to the surprise of the world, this scenario turned out to be the furthest thing from the truth, because when the 2017 season started, Kawhi missed the first 27 games to a quad injury. He then played in 9 games, but he continued to feel pain. The problem was that
sad.
Career basically not done, but borderline done to what it was meant to be.
It's like Derrick Rose.
Oh, he got finished on injuries,
Yeah,
man.
because of his injury. That is so sad, man.
That really could ruin a lot of careers. So it's good to see he managed to eventually break out of the injury phase.
Spurs doctor cleared him to play, almost accusing him of lying about being injured. And when you make such accusations to a player who's all business and no nonsense, that's where you piss him off and test his loyalty. Kawhi wanted a second opinion and found his own doctors. He stopped communicating with the team, and nobody knew what he was thinking about. The season ended, and Leonard was still silent. It was obvious that the impossible was now becoming inevitable, and that Kawhi was going to get traded. On July 18th, 2018, Leonard and Danny Green were traded to the Raptors in exchange for DeMar DeRozan and Jakob Poeltl. His arrival into Toronto stole all the headlines, just like the introductory press conference. When the season started, it was clear that Kawhi was arguably the best player in the NBA, and that his maturity as a player reached new heights. He averaged career-high 26.6 points and 7.3 rebounds on excellent shooting efficiency, but his progress can't be explained with numbers. What was fascinating about him is how easy he made it look, and how defenses could do nothing to stop him from scoring. You name it, Kawhi was scoring in every way possible, and he did it so nonchalantly that it seemed like he was hitting practice shots. He also became a clear leader of the team, and for the first time, he embraced the role and became much louder on the court and during team meetings. If he wasn't doing load management, he might have won the MVP that year, but that's who Kawhi was. He never cared about individual awards. All he wanted was to win in the postseason, and he even admitted that he thinks the regular season is just a warm-up. But when the playoffs started, it was clear that Kawhi was more than warmed up. He opened the first round with 28 points on average on 55% shooting and 54% for 3. In the second round against Philadelphia, he averaged 38 points and 62% shooting in the first 4 games. However, the 76ers were stacked, and the series went to Game 7. It was an extremely tight game with constant lead changes, and Jimmy Butler tied the score with 4 seconds to go. The Raptors had one final shot to win the game and the series when Kawhi got the ball. He dribbled to the right, closely guarded by Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. Kawhi raised up and shot, and as the buzzer sounded, the ball was still bouncing on the rim. But after 4 bounces, it finally fell inside the hoop. Kawhi let out a big scream, and his
I didn't realize it was that one, but it looked like it missed.
I didn't realize either.
Teammates hugged him, and this was the first Game 7 buzzer beater in NBA history. In the conference finals against the league MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Bucks, things looked bleak for Toronto as they lost the first 2 games. But then Kawhi started guarding Giannis. They turned the series around. Toronto won the next 4 games and proceeded to the finals, with Leonard averaging 30 points in the series. However, despite Kawhi's brilliance, the Raptors were still underdogs in the finals against the Warriors, who were aiming for a three-peat. But partly thanks to KD's injury, partly to Kawhi, Coach Nurse, and the rest of the Raptors who fought like lions, Toronto won the series in 6 games and took the first NBA title to Canada. Despite the emergence of Siakam, the resurrection of Fred VanVleet, and steady quality from Kyle Lowry, Toronto won the title because of Kawhi. Leonard was the finals MVP with 28.5 points, 10 boards, 4 assists, and 2 steals on average, and he averaged over 30 points during the entire playoffs. After the title,
what I will say, obviously, I didn't watch the game. We just started NBA recently, but I will say they were blessed with KD's injury, because we know how much of an animal KD is. And let's be real, that probably would have changed things. I don't know if they still would have won. I don't know how much they won by or how convincing the wins were. But let's be real, KD being out is a big impact for Golden
Apparently
State.
Clay got hurt as well, so
Clay.
3 people were down.
Yeah, that's crazy. So, not trying to tarnish their win. It happens. Look at Kawhi. He got injured that game and he was out for how many games? Like, basically a whole season. Like, it is what it is. But yeah, it's just injuries are crazy, man.
Who's a better defender though? Green or Kawhi?
Green or Kawhi?
That's a
Let the
hard
chat
one.
decide.
Yeah, chat. What do you guys think?
Claw or the boulder. I call him the boulder green. He's just like some brick.
Kawhi was a free agent and he disappeared again. Nobody knew where he
Everyone's
was
saying
or where
Kawhi.
he was going to sign, and he single-handedly stopped the entire free agency. Ultimately, he opted to return back home to California and sign with the Clippers. In LA, he proved once again that when he's healthy, he's one of the best two-way players to ever play. But the problem is that he's having more and more injury problems.
Oh, he's bleeding quite a
The
lot.
entire 2022
Got hit in
season
the
due to
mouth.
an ACL tear. If he brings the Clippers to the promised
ACL
land
tear.
and wins a title with his third team, he'll have to be considered one of the 20 best players ever. But even if he doesn't, Kawhi doesn't care. He has already proved his worth as a champion and one of the hardest workers in the NBA. Kawhi is one of the rare players that started his career as a pure role player and emerged as a superstar and a two-time Finals MVP. What's
for
maybe the
him.
most impressive is the way he improved his game in the playoffs, always scoring more and shooting more efficiently compared to the regular season. The scouts labeled him as a bad shooter when he first came to the NBA, and he's shooting over 50% from the field and 40%
Wow.
for three in his playoff career. Kawhi is actually the third most efficient player in playoff history, on top of playing some of the best defense the NBA has ever seen.
Good for him, man.
His dad
Yeah.
would be, and will be, and probably is looking down and is very proud of what
Well,
he achieved.
he is looking down on his son.
Yeah.
He is giving him that support spiritually, and 100% every time Kawhi wins, he's thankful to his dad.
That's it.
100%. And like I said, I feel like his dad's passing fueled him even more
Oh, yeah.
to push further in his career, because the commentator said the dad will lock up and he'll be excited because he's going to go watch his son play. Like, just
That's
training.
such a big loss, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's so sad. But hey, look, things happen, and you know, a lot of people would have taken that and been depressed, and you know, probably ruined their entire career over it, which it would affect a lot of people like that. It's very normal. For him to use that as fuel is amazing.